Hello friends, welcome back to our little coffee club. Today we're going to be taking a look at another one of Brian Kwan's coffees. As a matter of fact, this is from the Asia Roasting Project. It's another one of Brian's coffees, but it is the same coffee as we previously reviewed. And it made it into our best of 2023. That was a couple videos back. If you haven't seen my comparison on my favorite coffees for 2023, check that out. But this was one of them. This is the same coffee, but from a different roaster. As I previously spoke about Brian's project and what he's trying to do, he wants people to be able to try the roast profiles from different Asian countries. So he's going to be reaching out to different roasters and asking them to roast the coffee to what they would serve to their customers there in that country, where it may be. Now, for right now, this is another coffee from Taiwan. This is from MOJO Coffee, another roaster there. The previous one, the one that made it to the best of, this one was from Desolate, another Taiwanese coffee roaster. So today we're going to open this up and take a look at it. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I bought it. Again, I want to show my support to Brian and his project and what he's trying to do, because I really do look forward to trying coffees from different Asian countries, and hopefully he expands it, as I previously said, to other countries, other destinations. It doesn't have to be just Asia, although I do see the point of what he's trying to do. I would really like it if he expands on that, at least maybe every now and then. You know, every now and then he goes to reaches out to a roaster in another destination, and so we can try coffees from like all over the world. Now, a lot of times these people don't ship out of their country, they don't export, and even if they do, sometimes it takes really long for you to get their products. So once the roast is developed, they'll ship it back to Brian and it gets reproduced here in the States, in the Bay Area. That's my understanding. It gets reproduced by a roaster in the Bay Area. And then Brian will ship it back to the original person that developed the profile, and they'll taste it, make sure everything's right, and then it's when he starts selling it. So that's kind of like the idea. So you can try different roasting styles from different places throughout Asia. So that's the thinking behind it. Now, when I reviewed the previous coffee, I said that Brian, I think what he was trying to do is get the person that actually develops the roast to give some guidance as to how to brew the coffee. That has been done. And now there's a YouTube channel, Asia Roasting Project. I'll put a link to it right here, or give you guys the name of it so you guys can check them out. But so Brian has his own YouTube channel, Brian Kwan. And now he has one for the Asia Roasting Project, so that when these coffees come out, some guidance will be provided by whoever was that created the profile. So how to brew it and so on and so forth. So this time, this one was created again by MOJO, and they did provide some guidance. They showed how to brew it in two different brewers. I do have an Aeropress, and that is the one I'm gonna use to reproduce this and try to get the best flavor out of it, and we'll try it out. Now, one of the reasons why I bought it was because, I want to support Brian and what he's trying to do, because I hope this succeeds and we can try coffees from all over the place. That's one thing. The other thing is that, I usually don't read the tasting notes because I like to guess at them. But in this case, I do remember one of them. I don't remember the rest of the stuff, but I do remember one. I know it said green apple. And I have been on the lookout for something with the tasting note of green apple. I wanted a coffee that gave you that tasty note, to see if I could find it. I'm very familiar with Granny Smith's apples, and that's what I'm going to be looking for. I wonder if I'll see that. So I'm pretty curious as to that. So it's one of the reasons why I purchased it. And the other coffee, the one from Desolate, that was not one of the tasting notes. Green apple was not one of the tasting notes. So this one has it. So something about their roasting profile that kind of brought that out, right? So that's what I'm excited to try, to see if I could find that. Let's go over to the other counter, and then we're gonna chit chat. Today we're gonna review this. We're gonna take a look at it, but we're also gonna chit chat a little bit about some other things that have been going on. I'm gonna go to the other counter and get things set up for a pour over. But before I do that, I'm gonna leave you guys with a clip of a very interesting coffee shop that I visited recently in downtown Miami. This is in the very south end of downtown. I'll show you guys a few little images and clips or whatever it is I recorded that day. I know I recorded some stuff. I'll put it here on the screen as I'm speaking to you guys. But so you can see a little bit of downtown Miami and how much it has grown. I mean, there's cranes absolutely everywhere. The construction right now, all over town really, but especially in the downtown area, is really exploded, and it's like buildings coming up everywhere. It's pretty crazy. And then out of the woodworks, this popped up in this coffee shop. And I was like, oh my goodness, I gotta get out there and check this out and show my little coffee family, because this is really something. Hello friends, we are in downtown Miami. I wanna show you the latest coffee shop to open here around town. If you guys wanna see more of this coffee related kind of videos, I do videos about all things coffee. And this is basically a coffee channel now. But yeah, I want to show you guys this coffee shop. It's brand new. It opened a couple days ago. I don't even think we'll be able to order anything because it's just out of control busy. But I'll show you guys in a minute. You could see the buildings behind me. Of course, it's downtown, so it's got to be noisy. But anyway, I do what I can. Let me get over there and at least show you guys some pictures and a little bit of this concept. I think it's awesome, and I couldn't wait to get out here. It just opened like 3 days ago, so I guess that's why it's this busy. But let me show you guys. Let's go. Anyway, the place was so packed and so busy that I was not even able to have any coffee there. There was a huge line. I was not about to wait like 2 hours to have a coffee that I'm sure is not even as good as what I can make here in the house. So, but you know, obviously I wanted to get out there and try them, but I just couldn't. It was just too packed, as you could see. So from there we went to Calle 8 or Southwest 8th Street, which is like the heart of the Cuban community here in Miami. We went to a little restaurant called El Sanguich de Miami. I think that's what it's called, El Sanguich. So sandwich is like a made up word. It's Spanglish, okay? It's like a mix between English and Spanish. And around town, you know, if especially if you don't speak Spanish, you're gonna run into people go back and forth between English and Spanish, and it's really crazy. And it's hard to keep up with that unless you're used to it. Even if you know both languages, it's a little bit difficult in the beginning. But there's a lot of words that are just like, you know, kind of made up. And that's one of them. So that's not really a word. But they do make spectacular sandwiches. And I wanted to show you guys a couple of shots of that. Yeah, we had what they call pan con bistec, which is like it's a steak sandwich, but their take on it is not the traditional, it's not the classic way of making it. It's the steak is shaved thin, kind of like a Philly cheesesteak, and they put a sauce and they put the little crispy onions inside. That wow, it's so good. It's ridiculous, but it's not the authentic kind of like you know, pan con bistec or Cuban steak sandwich. It's not the authentic. Is their take, but it's awesome. Then with the other sandwich is called a croqueta preparada, which is like a Cuban sandwich but with like fried croquettes sandwiched in there, and again, spectacular, very good. And then they make these chips. They call it Cuban nachos because it's made with like plantain chips, and it had like pulled pork on top with the MOJO seasoning and all that. MOJO again. So yeah, well, but it was a spectacular lunch. The service was great. I'll put a picture of the guy that took care of us here because he really went the extra mile. But anyway, thank you to El Sandwich for hosting us. It was awesome. And you know, the coffee shop, maybe I'll try to make it out there again another time and record it for you guys. Again, you know, I try to visit the coffee shops around Miami. I don't always record, obviously, but now that I mainly do these videos at home. But when I get out to something special like this, I will make a video and put it on the channel so you guys could check that out. So let's go to the other counter and do a pour over, taste this take from MOJO Coffee Roasters here in Taiwan, and see what the Asia Roasting Project has in store for us this time. So I'll see you guys at the other counter and we'll do a pour over. Alright, so I forgot to turn on the mic again, so I'm gonna have to voice over this part. So first thing we gotta do is get this bag open. The first thing that I thought about was, you know, was the smell gonna be the same, the aroma, the same aroma like the other coffee? That completely blew me away. I mean, it's the best like aroma from any coffee I've ever had. But this bag did not have it, not the same. You know, it still had a nice aroma, but nothing like the other one. The other one was just something unbelievable. So I dosed out my 20 grams to grind on the K+, and then I started explaining how the gentleman from MOJO, the way that he showed how to brew the coffee is very similar to what I like doing. Okay, he doesn't do the inverted method or any kind of crazy stuff. Just basically he did it exactly like how I do, except that he had the big Aeropress and I use the Aeropress Go, which is small. So I have to do several pours instead of just pouring all the water in at once like he did. But basically he goes to boiling and he grinds the same size as he would for any other pour over method. So for me on the Aeropress, I like starting at 6. Usually for my other methods, I start at 7. So I do change it a little bit, but basically it's kind of roughly the same. So in my case, as you guys know, I have to do 3 pours. I do 3 pours of 100 grams. After my second pour, the first one is kind of like a blooming. I just let it sit there for about 45 seconds. After my second pour, I give it a really nice stir. And then depending on how fast the coffee is brewing, which is usually on the Aeropress, it just comes out real slow. And you know, it's kind of like a no bypass brewing method, kind of like the same way that it is on the Tricklet, except that on the Aeropress, you don't have to worry about it stalling or anything like that because you're gonna plunge down. So you are free to grind as fine as you like and do as much agitation as you like, and still you will have no problem because you're gonna plunge down. So again, when I use the Aeropress, I like using the same method like any other, you know, kind of pour over method or filtered coffee where I want to get the same ratio, a 1:15. I still do 20 grams in, 300 grams out. And usually, again, on the Aeropress, I start with a grind size of 6 on the K+ or 60 clicks. And the water, I usually like to start around 96, 97, maybe 98, depending on the roast level. In this case, because the gentleman showed using boiling water, I went pretty hot. I think I was at 98 or 99. I think that comes out later on here on the video. All right, this is all I pretty much forgot to record, so the rest you guys get to hear normal. Okay, you know what? I think this coffee is darker because it's definitely was easier to grind. Okay, we got everything. Okay, so we have our 20 grams ground at 60 clicks. Let's get the filter inside the Aeropress. It's easier to pull out the plunger if you just push it like that than actually pulling on this thing. Here's a brand new filter. Just locks to the bottom. Okay, again, I just want to rinse the cup and get everything warmed up. I really don't care about rinsing the filter itself. There's so little paper here that it makes no difference to me. It's more about rinsing the little cup itself than anything else. And again, when I use the Aeropress, I like brewing right into the little cup. It just works perfectly fine, as I told you guys before. Okay, so we just give it a nice swirl, get everything rinsed and warmed up. Okay, throw that water out. We're gonna see if we got our, again, tear the scale so we can check the retention like we always do. I remember last time too that there's like a lot of coffee stuck on there. You know, we probably end up having a little bit, maybe 0.1 or 0.2 of retention. I think it happened last time too with this coffee. Wow. Yeah, I don't want to make a mess. I'd rather have a little retention. I already made a little mess. But I'd rather have a little retention than a mess. So, okay, let me declump this in here. Not that there's any clumps, but you know, it's quick and easy, so why not? Now, the next thing I like to do is use the little funnel, the little dosing funnel that I have for my, this one is for the Brewing infuser, because it fits on the Aeropress just fine like that. Makes it a little bit easier to get all the grounds in there. Some of the Aeropresses come with this big funnel. I didn't get that. Maybe because if you get the Aeropress Go, the little one, it doesn't come with it, or they don't offer it anymore. I don't know, but mine didn't come with it. Put that off to the side. Man, I hate it when my area gets messy like this. Let me let me clean this up. Okay, so now there you're seeing there was no retention. We have the same 20 point, well, we were between 20 and 20.1. We're right there. So what we put in is what we got out. Just flatten it out a little bit. Okay, so at 60 clicks, this coffee is a little bit finer than I would for a regular pour over. Let's tear the scale. Okay, so my method with the Aeropress, you guys saw, you know, I like doing 3 pours. I do 100 grams, wait about 30 seconds, 45 seconds, something like that. And then I'll come in with another 100 grams and give it a good stir back and forth. And then as soon as I have enough room to add another 100 grams, I add my last 100 grams. At the end, usually it's kind of full and I kind of have to go slow. Once I got my whole 300 grams in there, I'll put the plunger on top and wait. Once I'm at 4 minutes, and that's exactly what he did too. At 4 minutes, he plunged down. In some coffees, I like to start plunging around 3 minutes, some maybe 4 minutes. Since he did 4 minutes for this coffee, that's what I'm gonna do. So let's start the time. We're at 0, start the time. Okay, and we do our first 100 grams. Again, with the Aeropress, you don't need to make circles or do anything. You don't need a gooseneck kettle. Just pour your water in there and, you know, use whatever method you like. But it's really simple device to make coffee, but very versatile, very versatile. There's so many recipes. If you look on YouTube, online, you're gonna find a million recipes of different ways of using the Aeropress. And I do see the joy of it, you know, to travel with it, it's just perfect. We have some of that coming up on the channel, by the way. We do have some of that coming up on the channel. Okay, we're at like 50 seconds. Let's do another 100 grams. Okay, so now you see the whole time the coffee's kind of draining through. We are getting some drips in there, not a whole bunch, but it is dripping down, and it's kind of like right now, it's kind of like working like the tricklet if you think about it, because it's kind of like no bypass. But with this, you don't have any kind of problems with channeling like it happens with the tricklet. That's the problem. And that's the big difference between the Aeropress and the tricklet. This is just way more versatile. You can always save it. So again, I just go back and forth in both directions. You don't want to build like a dome. If you do stirring, sometimes you build like a dome there and there's less coffee on the sides. And that's not ideal. You want it to be nice and even extraction. Okay, so I give it a nice stir. We're 2 minutes in, so I'm gonna go in with the last 100 grams. Again, experiment with the agitation. Okay, so now we're at 302.5. I can turn off the kettle. Now I bring it off my scale, but I leave the scale running. Last time I remember when I showed you guys, I turned it off. And then I'll put the plunger on top. And what that's gonna do, okay, make sure you get it enough in there. If not, with the coffee degassing, it could pop off. So be careful. Okay, so my scale is running. I'm at 3 minutes and 10 seconds. My Aeropress has the plunger on top, so now the water drips even slower. I wonder if I lift this, if you could see. Yeah, you could see it's hardly not even dripping. Every now and then we get a couple drips. Not sure if that's coming up on the camera there, but yeah, we're getting very few drips. Right now the cup, this whole time, it's up to about right here. Usually it takes me about a minute to press down. So I'm gonna start now. I'm at 3:45. I'm gonna start. So 15 seconds before he did. But he kind of pressed a lot harder than what I like to press. I like to just barely give it a little bit of a resistance. Well, I'm not giving it resistance. Use very little effort. Maybe that's the way I should say it. Again, this coffee, based on the amount of resistance I'm getting, I would maybe want to grind it a little bit coarser. Okay, at the end, I don't know if you guys could hear that on the mic, but at the end you get like you hear the air, because there's already, you drained all the water out, you're just getting a little bit of the air that was in between the plunger and the coffee puck. So just press until you hear that air and you're basically done. So it's 4 minutes and 45 seconds. I'm calling it 4:45. Let's give it a stir and then I'll meet you guys over at the other counter so we can taste it.
All right, here we go. Let's give it a taste. Wow, I didn't. Okay, I wasn't expecting like any difference, but I forgot something, because this is way different, and now I remember something. These coffees, although it's the same coffee, they didn't have the same processing. And maybe that's what, it just dawned on me because I tasted it and I'm like, wait a minute, this is way different. It kind of doesn't even feel like the same coffee. Let me taste it again. Man, okay, another thing is, this one is on the Aeropress, You know, it's a totally different brewing. Well, not totally different, but it's quite different brewing method than what we did with the other one, which I did it on the, I believe I did it on the origami. I tried it on the April, and I tried it on the Steadfast. All of those are very, very closely related brewing methods. This is a little bit more out there. Besides, it was a finer grind. The water temperature, everything's different here. Let's you know, there's quite a few differences here, but it's tasting even more different than I would expect. Even though we made a lot of changes, but it's still, wow. Okay, it's a big difference. Yeah, this is not only is it way different, it's more my style. There's a funkiness, kind of. We're gonna look and read as to the processing method, but I do remember them being different. So I'm gonna take a look at that. I have a good feeling that this one has some kind of funky processing. You know, man, I gotta say, I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that when I taste the coffee and I'm like, oh, there's something going on here. You know what? This could be the first contender in 2024 to make it to the end of the year, where we're gonna do the comparison again. So January 2025, we'll do a comparison for the best coffees of 2024. And this could be the first contender. This one and the Good Brothers, the champ, okay? But I think I might freeze some of this because I'm so pleasant. I'm taken by what I'm tasting here. And I was not expecting such a difference. It's the same coffee. Let's look at the processing. I wonder how much the brewing method elevated it to like that kind of give me more punch, you know? Definitely more highs and lows than the other coffee. There's more in there. There's more depth of flavor. You know, let's guess at, before I read it, let's guess at the tasting notes, because I know green apple was one of them, but I don't remember any of the other stuff. So, you know, the scent of the other coffee was better, the aroma. Especially when I first opened the bag the very first time, like I did today. This one, it was nice, but it didn't blow me away. The other coffee was just something incredible. I had never seen a coffee with that much aroma. But this one definitely not as much. It's just kind of normal. It doesn't have, I can't smell any funkiness. I wonder how much it has to do with the cup as well. Probably not much, but there's definitely, this one is sweeter. In part, maybe it was because I ground it finer. Maybe the hotter water. All of that maybe is giving it the sweetness. But the other one was sweet, but this one is even sweeter. Not only sweeter, but there's more there. There's just more depth of flavor. There's more going on. Green apple, okay. You know, it's not jumping out at me. It's not, would I have guessed that? No, probably not. But since it's suggested, I could see it. You know, I could see it. But would I have seen it if it wasn't suggested? You know, probably not. I'm always as honest as I can be with you guys. Okay, so, yeah, no, maybe not. I don't think I would have jumped at, oh yeah, green apple. No, I don't think so. Now, what do I get? You know, there's a tartness, like a berryness to it. Okay, fruity. There's a tartness, a berryness to it. There's pleasant acidity, sweeter than the other coffee, more depth of flavor, more highs and lows, more punchy. Some of it could have been from the water temperature, from the brewing method, from the fact that we ground it finer. All of those things could have come together to give me this, which is awesome. So, you know, MOJO, you know, this is why it's awesome that they're giving the guidance as to how to brew it. How would you, if you went into that coffee shop over there in Taiwan and you asked to make me a cup of coffee with this coffee, this is what you would have gotten, you know, this will blow you away. This is special. Yeah, absolutely. You know, like I like to say, specialty is just a little more special. You know, you can get some special coffees at your local roasters. Some of them serve specialty coffee, obviously. Even at the supermarket, there's some really good coffees you can find. But, you know, every now and then, man, you run into something like this. It's just a little more special. Yeah. I just realized that at the other counter, I don't know if I got all the audio. If you heard a whole bunch of voiceover on this video, it's because maybe I forgot to turn on the mic. Oh my God. Why? I don't understand, man. By now I should have this down packed, right? I've made like 100 videos now of coffee videos. Like you would think, like, I might have forgotten to turn on the mic. If I did a voiceover, but that's okay. All right, you saw everything though. Okay, so let's take a look at the tasting notes. Again, some kind of little bit of tartness, like berryness to it, fruity. You know, I'm not getting much of a citrus note. There is acidity, but it's just more berry-like. Just fruity. No, I'm not getting like that caramel or chocolate. It's just sweet, fruity. Just let's see what we got. Then we'll talk a little bit about the camera and what happened, and you know, eventually I'll have this whole system figured out. By the time we hit 200 videos, then I'll have it down packed. All right, let's see. All right, so let's see what we've got. Again, I gotta kind of get used to also like looking straight at the lens, so that the camera is looking right at my eyes. If not, it tends to kind of focus all over the place. I know I can fix that. I just haven't gone around to doing the settings, but I will. It's only gonna get better from here, guys. We can only hope it's gonna get better. Okay, so let's see. I kind of have to read it like this. So, all right. So Honduras, Rosado. You know, I'm gonna put a picture. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm gonna put a picture here on the screen of the sticker so you guys could read it. I'm gonna go right into the tasting notes and whatever method it is they use to process the coffee, because that's what I'm mainly interested in. So let's see. We got raspberry. Okay, we've seen that before. Tangerine. Definitely didn't get it this time. You know, I'm not seeing that, like that citrus note. I'm not getting that. But raspberries, okay, some fruity berries. I did say, you know, tanginess. We got the green apple, which I remembered. But again, do I see that in here? No, not really. Maybe if I brew it different, I'll try. I'll report back. I'll try a couple of different ways of brewing it. And then it says candy sweet. Wow, there's definitely a sweetness. Candy, but you know, there's so many different kinds of candy. That could be anything. But this coffee is definitely sweeter than the other one. There's punchier. There's more there, more depth of flavor. You know. Mild acidity with like that little tanginess that just kind of tickles your tongue. I just love that. You know, when you... Okay, somebody that's not into coffee like us, you tell them that the coffee has acidity, and they might be like, why? No, I don't, you know. But wow, it's just when you got a coffee with just the right level of acidity that you enjoy, it just tickles the tongue, and it just elevates it. It's just completely different. When you are used to just having like Starbucks with no acidity, you're missing out on half of the story. You know, it's like is it an acquired taste? You know, I wouldn't say. I think this is something you kind of enjoy right from the get-go. Is you don't have to really acquire too much before you're enjoying this a whole bunch. So if you like coffee, you gotta try something like this. Okay. Usually the main difference is the roast level, because most coffees that are offered out there at coffee shops and things like that, I'm talking not specialty, like Starbucks or, you know, McDonald's coffee and these kind of places, you know, just the roast levels, just the coffee's roasted too long, too dark. You lose all those like different kind of flavors that you get, the acidity, and it's hard to explain. Hard to explain. All right, so let's look at the processing. Okay, so we see the tasting notes. You know, did I do well on this? You know, maybe not. I don't know. You guys tell me. Definitely the candy sweet. I see it. Raspberries, yes, the fruitiness, like berryness. Maybe the tanginess that I feel is from the tangerine, but it just doesn't feel like a citrus note. I don't know. Okay, so the processing method is carbonic maceration washed. Now, carbonic maceration, I don't know enough to know what that process is exactly like, but you see, this is probably where that funkiness I'm getting, this is probably where it's coming from. Yeah, but I'm getting pretty good at this, okay? As like noticing when the coffees have that extra processing. Every now and then I've gotten like a washed coffee that kind of has that, and it's kind of fooled me, right? I thought like, man, maybe this one has some kind of processing, but it didn't. But in this case, I definitely saw something there, right? Let's look at the other one. So, what, I have forgotten about that. What brought it to mind was when I tasted it and I saw it was so different. So, okay, so this one, it says honey process. Okay, honey process, I believe that's when they take off the skin of the cherry and then they dry it with some of the mucilage still on. I think that's what the honey is. If you dry the whole entire cherry, I believe that's natural. If you remove the skin of the cherry and dry it with just some of the mucilage, you don't completely wash it out, then I believe that's the honey process. And then there's the wash process where you just remove everything. That's what my understanding. So, okay, so again, great job, MOJO, way to go. This one the other one was great. The other one was great, and it had the citrus note. This one, you're lacking the citrus note, but there's more there and there's more sweetness. I'm gonna try brewing it. Maybe next time I'll do it on the April, because the April's definitely what elevated that citrus note and that acidity on that other coffee. I'm gonna lower the water temperature from 98 maybe to like 94, which is what I used for the other one, and I'm gonna do it on the April and get a faster drawdown. Grind it, instead of 60 clicks, maybe I'll go to like 70 clicks. It's gonna drain like really fast. On the April, I'm finding that brewer is like extremely fast. I want to compare it, the April versus the origami, but both with the flat bottom paper, because I think that's the main difference, not the fact that it's just the April. I think it's that I'm using the flat bottom paper on it, and that definitely makes a difference versus the cone filter. All right, another thing I wanted to show you guys and chit chat about was the camera and something else that happened. So, and the reason why the camera. So recently I tried to record a comparison between the infuser and the Bianca, and it was round 2. Okay, I was doing a medium roast. I'm still gonna record that. I'm gonna do that medium roast comparison, because I think that's when the two machines are gonna start to pull apart from each other. I'm confident that the Bianca can pull a better shot with dark roast than the infuser. When I did my comparison recently, and you guys saw the video, that was not the case at all. But I think it's just that, I needed to dial in a little bit more on the Bianca, then I would have gotten it just as good or better. But it didn't happen that time. Now, and at all, if you guys saw the video. Now, on round 2, I'm going into the medium roast, and I think that's when the Bianca's gonna start to pull apart, because as soon as I bought the Bianca on these lighter roasts that I like brewing, and drink the straight espresso shots, just right away, everything just started working on the Bianca. It was just delicious every single time. And the infuser, I struggled a little bit. And the lighter the coffee gets, I think that's when they're gonna kind of separate from each other. I'm gonna just always be getting like better and better results on the Bianca as the coffee gets lighter and lighter. So if you just plan on doing like dark roast coffees, even medium coffees, just, you're just fine with the infuser. I mean, you don't really need it unless you're a coffee hobbyist. Okay, you wanna have it. So yeah, I try to record a comparison as to the medium roast And yeah, things went wrong. I'll tell you in a second. Now it's cooling and it is changing a little bit. Would I still say the green apple or the tangerine? Would I see that? You know, because it was suggested, I could see it. I could definitely see these tasting notes here. It's not one of these that I'm gonna be like, oh no, I don't see how they came up with this. Which you guys have seen that it's happened here on the channel several times, where I read the tasting notes and then I'm still like, I cannot get on board with it. There's no way. Like, I don't know, how did they come up with this? But in this case, I could definitely get on board with these tasting notes, and the descriptors that they gave for this coffee, I think is pretty darn on point. Just delicious. All right, so back to my little story. So when I was doing this comparison, this was the most difficult video that I've recorded so far as to any of these coffee videos. You know, when I did the end of the year, the 2023, the best coffees, that's maybe the second most difficult, because there was just a lot going on. I had to brew 3 pour-overs and hold the coffees and come up with some kind of scoring system, and there's a lot to it. Usually I just turn on the camera, make my coffee, and talk to you guys. You know, I don't give it much thought. But that one required some planning. So, but the comparison, not only did it require some planning, but just I couldn't get the coffee right. I ended up brewing it like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times on the infuser, and another 4 or 5 times on the Bianca. I was using a coffee that I'm extremely familiar with, that I know when you get it 100% spot on, I know what it tastes like. You know, I know what it tastes like. And this was a different bag of coffee, but you know, I figured I'm gonna get it at least really close to what I know this coffee could give me. And it took me like 5 shots on each machine. I did a bunch of clips. The GoPro ended up overheating and the battery blew up. Like almost literally, the back of it kind of like popped out and the battery was all swollen. And I'm like, man, I need a different solution. Like, look, right now I've been talking to you guys here for quite a few minutes. I don't turn off the camera because, and I mean, God, why would I, right? I just keep talking and let the camera, and then I cut out whatever, you know, whenever I'm thinking of something or how to say a certain thing. You know, once we go live, you know, we'll see what happens. But you know, the day that I was live with Hoon, I was really scared. Like, man, maybe I can't think of some word to say, or I can't of how do I explain this, or you know, I get stuck. But it didn't happen. I did very well. So you know, moving forward, when we could do the lives, we'll see how that goes. But there'll be short videos in the beginning until I kind of get the hang of it. But yeah, so sometimes, you know, I have the camera running for quite a while and I'm recording a clip, and the GoPro, I guess it didn't. You know, obviously, it didn't say it was overheating, but something happened. The battery blew up. I lost the clip. It was a long clip. It just, and you know, the video had been going on forever and so many things went wrong that I just decided to scrap the whole idea and re-record the whole entire video. And that day I said, I gotta get me a camera that I could just keep it running for like ever. And this is it. Okay, this camera. Now, I had been waiting to get this camera because it's expensive, and I already have a good camera. So you know, but the thing is that my good camera for video is not good. For pictures, which is the reason why I bought it, for photography, it's great. It's just as good as this one, but in video, this one is a million times superior. I mean, it's just way better. The autofocus and everything, especially the autofocus. That's the main thing, the autofocus. So yeah, now. You know, again, I have to learn the settings and get a setting so that it focuses on my eyes, but if I look away, which I do a whole bunch, and I try not to, I'm trying to get better at just looking at the lens and talking to you guys, but you kind of like get tunnel vision after a while. You know, you kind of want to look around. And when I take my eyes off the lens, it kind of wants to focus somewhere else, and I don't, you know, you see the lens breathing and it's distracting, and I don't like it. So there's a way to fix that, And I know the setting, I have to get in there and tweak it and try it, and we'll get around to that. But again, I have a mic, external mic for it, and I have the lenses. I didn't have to buy any lenses because it works with, it's a Canon camera, so it works with the lenses I already had. So that's a huge plus. So yeah, we got the new camera that I can record as long as I want. The battery lasts a long time. I have the lenses, I have the audio. It doesn't overheat. You can just keep it running forever. Okay, so that's great. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to show you guys, because the day that I was doing the comparison, I wanted to show once again the process of sealing the coffee. And that particular day, I vacuum sealed Brian Kwan's coffee to use on the comparison video. So that when I was recording the comparison of the infuser and the Bianca, I sealed a couple of little packets of coffee so I could do the review, and another little bit that I sent to a friend. And so I wanted to show you guys that clip. So I'm gonna run it right here. Okay, so I think we're all set up. We have everything here and ready to go. So this is the second time I'm showing this little vacuum sealer here on the channel. And again, I got this one out of Amazon, and it's like the cheapest one I could find. And I think it works great. It works perfect. Again, maybe it's not like so heavy duty where you're gonna be vacuum sealing things every day kind of thing, maybe. But for what I intend to use it for is probably perfectly well suited. So this was very inexpensive. It already came with some bags, but I did order some other bags just because they were smaller and more suitable for what I want to do. The bags were very inexpensive as well. So this whole thing has been a very small investment, and I think very well worth it if this moving forward works out well. So again, January 7th, we're gonna find out, because we're gonna open those coffees and see how they taste, see if this worked out. Okay, so let me show you guys. These are the bags that I picked up to go along with this. It comes with 100 of them. They're 6-inch by 10-inch, so fairly big. I mean, for what we want to do, it's perfect. And again, very inexpensive. Okay, so let me get one out of here. All right, here it is. Let me put this off to the side. Okay, so you get it out of the box. Here it is. Let me show you guys something. So it comes with this little cardboard here, and it says to leave it in place, not to remove it. And I think the whole point is so that you don't close it completely. And because I think if it stays closed for a long time, what's gonna happen is probably you're gonna damage this little foam here. If the little foam gets damaged, it does bring one extra one. So I've never had to use it. Again, I always put this back in place. I put it back in the box it came in, and I haven't had any issues whatsoever. But yeah, basically that's what you do. Now, let's see. Let's plug it in. All right, so I have you guys here in a kind of a strange angle. I'm gonna do my best here to like not block the shot, and hopefully you guys will get a good visual from this angle here and see what's going on. So basically, this is so simple, but anyway, I thought I'd cover it one more time. I do have a video already when I first used this machine, and I called it, I think the video was called something like the best way to store coffee long-term. And so you guys saw it once before, but we're gonna go ahead and seal this 50 grams. So again, this is Brian's coffee. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do 50 grams here. Let's see. And the other ones I did 100 just because I had a lot more coffee. But this one I don't have a whole bunch. All right, that's fine, 50.4. Okay. Again, this will give me 2 pour overs. You know, doing 50 is kind of weird because I do 20 gram. Oh, that's right. I've been thinking on how to go about filming that whole video, and I think I'm gonna do like small brews, like half of what I normally do. That's why I said 50. Yeah, because I'm gonna taste all these coffees, back to back, and I don't think I might end up, now it's 3, so I'm thinking I better do like a smaller quantity, or you guys know I don't like to just brew the coffee and throw it away. I don't do that. So I'm gonna drink it. So I'm thinking if I go with 10 grams of each coffee, you know, that should work. But you know what? I'm gonna freeze 60 anyway, just in case I change my mind again as to how I'm gonna go about the whole review. Wow, 60 grams is pretty much what fits in the little niche cup. All right, so we're at 60.3. So let's go ahead and freeze. Let's go ahead and freeze 60 grams. Okay. Put this off to the side for a second. Okay, so basically what you want to do is just flatten it out. If you have room in the bag, flatten it out a little bit. Now you put the bag in here and you push it up against these two tabs here. I'm pretty sure you could see that, but you kind of just lay it up against the two tabs like so, okay? And now when you close it, I remember that as soon as you hit one of these buttons, it just turns on and does its thing. You don't have to, there's nothing else to press. So really simple. So basically it just tells you whether it's dry, where you're, you know, gonna vacuum seal, it's dry product or moist. So all you gotta do is select dry and it goes right into it. There's nothing to do. And as soon as it takes all the air out, it goes right into sealing. That takes a few seconds and then it's gonna seal the bag for you. As soon as it turns off, then you know you have a good seal and you're good to go. Okay, when it blinks, it's finishing up, and when it turns off, you're done. So again, there's two tabs here on the sides. You just press them. It's gonna pop open. Be careful with this, it might be hot because this seals with heat. It just melts the bag and that's how you get a good seal. But there you see it. Now we have our 60 grams. This is Brian's coffee. I'm gonna label it or somehow I'm gonna mark it, because if not, definitely I have you know, a few of these things and I'm gonna get all confused. So I know this is the one that has the least amount, but I better mark it. So I'll make a note of it, put it off to the side. And now I'm gonna seal a little bit for someone I'm gonna send a little bit of coffee to. All right, this is one of those moments that I love here as I'm recording videos, but I forgot to hit record again and recorded like I don't know, like a 5-minute clip that you guys are not gonna get to see, but basically not a big deal. I just portioned out 40 grams or 40 and a little bit, I think it was 40.3, something like that, for someone else that I'm gonna send a little bit of this coffee to. Anyway, here we go. We're gonna seal this one, 40 grams to send away. Again, just press it down. Once it locks in, hit dry. It goes right to work, nothing else to do. As soon as there's no air in there, it starts to seal by itself. You don't have to do anything. In a little bit, in a few seconds, they start blinking, and when the lights turn off, it's done. Okay, so the lights are not off. Again, we are done. Got a nice seal on it. All right, there it is.
Okay, so I wanted to show you guys that once again, so in case you guys wanna join along here and maybe you guys freeze some coffee as well. Again, that little machine for vacuum sealing is super cheap. And the little bags to vacuum seal the coffee are super cheap as well. Okay, so it's kind of fun, you know, to kind of keep a little bit of your favorite coffees, and then maybe in the beginning of 2025, you guys join me with the review and you guys brew a few of your favorite coffees for the year, and you join me in the comparison and you guys come up with your own favorites as well. By the time I get around to editing this video and posting the video, I already forgot like a lot of details. So I forget that to add the links and all that stuff. But here's the deal. If you guys want a link to anything that you saw in the video, just ask me in the comments and I will give you the link. I'll give you whatever it is you need. I'll add it and then everyone will see it there. All right, so that pretty much sums up all the things I wanted to cover here. I have a feeling, although we only brewed a pour over, I have a feeling this video is gonna be kind of long because of all the other things I wanted to show you guys and talk about.
So yeah, that's my little channel updates. What else? I think that sums it all up. This is a great coffee. I don't know if Brian still has some of this, but you know, by the time you guys see this video, he makes very little batches. You know, he doesn't do like 1,000 bags of coffee to sell. You know, so probably he's out of this one already. But keep an eye on his channel, and he will announce when something new is coming up. And try him out. It's I gotta say, at least this one is pretty special. Wow, you know, it's already cooled. It's still warm. It's not like room temperature, it's warm, but definitely when you get coffee that's just really good, it's gonna remain good. Even at room temperature, even if you make it like iced coffee, like really hot, it doesn't matter, it just always tastes really good. This is spectacular. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope I was able to keep you company, and I hope you saw something here that made you laugh, or got your day started in a good, positive way. I wish you guys all the best for this 2024. And I look forward to spending more time with you guys, every Sunday. When I'm recording this video, I still haven't gone on the trip, but by the time you see this video, I'm already back from the trip. And we're gonna be brewing coffee outdoors, which, I imagine I went on the trip and I recorded the videos that I plan on recording, and now you won't see that, but hopefully I did. Because yeah, we're gonna go on a little trip, and I plan on, I got my whole little kit and everything to show you guys to brew coffee outside, so that'll be kind of fun. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you. Now with this camera, it has kind of like a wider, I have a zoom lens on it. I can change the perspective, but right now, I like being close to the lens. I like being close to the mic. I like this angle. This is kind of like what the GoPro was giving me, and the phone just didn't give me the same perspective. On this camera, I can kind of get that, but then it kind of like it grabs like a wider field of view, if that makes sense. So you see some little things here that sometimes if I'm not looking at the camera might want to try to focus on that stuff. This is a little pine tree. It's a little pine tree. I'm gonna add a picture here at the end so you guys could see what this is like here. But I have shown this little setup here on other videos. For sure on that Acme, the thumbnail for the Acme coffee shows this thing here that I have off to my right here. This is a little like setup that my wife has, and it changes with the seasons. Okay, so for winter there's a little look, for fall there's a little look, for summer there's a look, and then she changes this thing throughout the year, which is kind of fun. I like it. Sometimes we put flowers here and things like that, and sometimes like now with this camera, maybe sometimes you're gonna see a little bit of whatever is sitting here off to my right. Interestingly enough, recently we had a little party. I know Carrie saw this picture because I sent it to her, but I'm gonna also put it here at the end, where I had my brew bar here, completely different. Okay, so I'm gonna add also a picture of that here at the end so you guys could see that. That's pretty interesting. We had some friends over and we had a whole look, and it was pretty cool. It was a night to remember. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you guys a whole bunch. Please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys next week.